Sister comes from Newsweek. This is part of a broader category of stories.
There's a lot going on, yeah.
So before I give you the headline for this one, so the FBI, incidentally, the director of the FBI is a former Trump appointee.
Yes, yeah, that's important to point out.
So former Trump appointee is the director of the FBI. The federal judge that signed off on the search warrant is a Trump appointee. So,
I didn't realize the federal judge was.
Yeah, the federal judge has signed off on the search warrant that the FBI
the people are saying they want to kill.
Yeah, man. So this is how crazy it is, right? So the FBI raided Trump's residence at Mar-A-Lago.
It seems like it's archival related.
Right. So when Trump left office, and there's no dispute about this, he took with him 15 boxes of materials.
Yeah.
Some of those materials he's returned because you can't just take shit. That's not your shit.
When you say return, though, Tom, do you mean that he went to them and they said, hey, I'm sorry, I mistakenly took these? Or did they follow him to fucking Florida and take them back?
Yeah.
Because that's what happened.
That's what happened. And he took all kinds of shit. Yeah. So he took some shit he took was classified. He took also like a bunch of like gifts from fucking foreign leaders, mementos. Like, none of that shit is actually yours. So, like, if you're the president and, like, I meet the prime minister of Japan and that guy gives me a fucking bowl or, a gift or some ceremonial thing, that's not Tom's because I'm that's America's. It goes in a fucking national archive. All that shit goes in the archive. Unless you're Trump, in which case he just keeps that shit and leaves.
But here's what you have to understand about a guy who comes into office with that kind of money and that kind of treatment his whole life is, when you watch the, when you watch Casino, there's a great part in Casino where a guy flies in from Japan and they give him a lot of money to play. They give him a lot of money to start out. And he gets, he makes like $1 million, then he quits, and then he takes all the linens in the hotel before he leaves, right? He thinks they're his, right? They're just these are all gifts for me. And I think Trump has always had a life that he's led that is basically like, everyone is giving me gifts all the time. When I go to a hotel, I just take stuff and nobody charges me because I am me. And and everything is first class or whatever. And that sort of mindset to him,
that presumptive ownership.
Exactly. It's presumptive ownership. That's a great way to put it. And I think that's exactly what he did, was he was just like, I'm just going to take the couch.
Right, yeah.
Because it's just like, I like it.
I'm going to take this portrait of Lincoln, like whatever. Yeah. So he took all this shit and then they came back and they were like, hey man, you can't take that shit.
Yeah, please don't take
so they took back a bunch of that shit, but it turns out he still kept some shit. So this story is from Newsweek. Trump suggesting FBI planted evidence confirms his guilt, according to lawyer. Also, no shit.
Yeah.
So Trump is like, I think Trump is trying to get ahead of this story, right? Because he immediately started not tweeting because he can't fucking tweet, but putting missives at Truth or
parlored it or whatever.
What a fucking twat.
Truth the parlor. Fucking.
He Telegram signaled his parlor truths or whatever he fucking did.
Exactly.
So whatever evil nonsense apps that he uses for his fucking sycophantic right-wing terrorists that follow him. He put out a thing the FBI broke into my shit and they even broke into my personal safe, and isn't this terrible? And now he's saying stuff like, they wouldn't let, I thought this was hilarious, they wouldn't let any of my representatives or lawyers be on site while they were searching my place, so they were probably planting evidence. And that's just a way for him to deflect the fact that they're going to find fucking evidence.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Cecil, if the FBI broke into your house, they'd find nothing. Here's
the thing. The FBI would never break into my house.
Right.
The FBI would never break into my house because they would have a search warrant to be let into my house.
Right. That's the thing. I thought about this. If the cops or the FBI break, it's like this. We've talked about this before. If somebody's like, I'm going to put all the skeleton in your closet out on full view, I'd be like, the worst you would do is embarrass me.
I'd be embarrassed, but I wouldn't be. I wouldn't go to jail.
Right.
But the thing is Trump is such a hypocrite because he believes this stuff too. If someone were to break into the house of one of his enemies, he would say, "Oh, look at them. They're trying to get it." He would be saying the exact same thing.
100%.
He also, if you'll remember, and he did this week, He also said years ago, if you plead the fifth, you're probably guilty.
Oh, yeah. He had a whole thing about it.
The fifth this week like crazy.
400 times, man.
He's like, yeah, he was brought in by the attorney general of like New York or whatever to be deposed. And he was just like, yeah, I'm not going to answer any of your questions.
Also, this is a guy who explicitly tried to weaponize the Justice Department for his own political gain.
Absolutely.
And now he's like pissing and moaning about this being a weaponized Justice Department.
And you're
like, what?
Because what you're hearing from the right, and I've been trying to pay attention to what the right's doing.
Sure.
Because this is one of those things that like, I don't think a lot is going to come from this. I know a lot of people are saying it could be the end or whatever. It's like, I don't believe that anymore.
No, I don't believe anything good anymore.
What I believe is that they found what they were looking for. He probably had some kind of classified document or something that he shouldn't have had, and they took it back. And then that's going to be it. Nobody's going to do anything about it. Nobody's going to fucking chase him down or whatever. In fact, they probably wouldn't have never even told anybody if he didn't publicize this in a big way.
Yep.
Nobody would have ever said anything. But instead, he made a big deal out of it because I think he thinks he's in trouble. So he wants to make a big stink because that way his followers come out and march in front of his house for hours.
And he's fundraising on it.
Yeah, absolutely.
He immediately began fundraising it.
Yeah.
He immediately monetized it.
That's a great point, Tom. And you're right, because he immediately wants to spin it on, I got to make as much money as possible.
Right.
So there's this, I don't feel like anything's really going to happen from this at all. But I feel one thing I wanted to do was watch the right a little bit because I want to see how they're taking this. And it's not well. It's not.
No, man.
An FBI agent or an FBI office in Ohio, a guy tried to break in today with a gun. And there's a chance it's related to this. I don't know. It happened late in the afternoon today, and he was chased down and murdered by the FBI.
Fucking hell.
But I don't know if it has anything related to this, but it certainly is uncanny timing. If someone armed is trying to break into a field office in Ohio 3 days after the former president was raided, there's been several senators who have and Congress people who have come out really upset about what happened to him. And
dude, hashtag Civil War is trending.
I mean, there's people who are like posting on multiple message boards. They dox this judge.
Yeah.
And he's getting death threats and, sending death threats to a federal judge. You're going to jail for a real long time.
That's not a thing you should do.
You're a real stupid person.
You are a genuinely
dumb person.
That's as dumb as breaking into an FBI field office.
Really, everything is but
what's the plan?
The one thing it tells you though, is this is a hyper volatile situation.
Fuck yeah, man.
These people have fallen into this cult in a way that is terrifying, and they are willing to do literally anything for him. And
it's not only the fucking crazy people that have this like Trump, they have the Trump derangement syndrome.
Yeah, right, absolutely. That's a total projection.
But Trump is absolutely just pouring gas on what he knows. There is no way to look at this man and say, this man actually cares about the country.
Yeah.
This man actually cares. He's like a civil, does anybody believe that this man is a fucking civil servant?
Yeah.
Like, there's no way you believe that. What you think is he is a deposed emperor.
Yeah.
That is what you believe. You believe that you want your fucking deposed emperor to be back in power because you want to ride the coattails of that power through like some associative element, either association through your whiteness, association through your money, association in some other way.
Right.
You want your fucking deposed fucking emperor to come back from his exile on Shit Island in Mar-A-Lago to come back over, and then, we can all fucking celebrate. This guy will throw gas on the fire when you see something like trending like hashtag Civil War. You can't care about the country.
No.
And throw gas on the fire. But this guy is gleefully pouring gas on the fire because he rakes in the dough. He's personally making enormous amounts of money.
Yeah. This is scary though, because what it says to me is we've been watching these January 6th hearings throughout the whole thing. And it's clear that Trump very much wanted to bring a bunch of people that were clearly armed down to the house, and he wanted to lead them in.
Yeah.
He very much wanted that to happen.
Yep.
And it's very clear that he wanted it to happen because it's corroborated by dozens of people.
Absolutely.
Right? Dozens of people. It's corroborated by evidence of logs. It's corroborated by phone calls. It's corroborated by like I say, dozens of interviews.
It can't be properly disputed.
There's no way that this is just like some kind of weird manufactured thing unless they all got together and had this weird conversation like we got to throw Trump under the bus. He very much, he feels like he's guilty of a lot of things.
So much, man.
I don't know that he's going to face any charges because look at what happens just with one search warrant. Like, and I don't even think, like I said, I don't even think it's going to be a big deal for him. I think there's nothing's going to happen out of this. And look at his followers. Could you imagine if they take him into custody? What's going to happen?
Dude, I actually thought about that. I'm not sure he should be arrested. What I hope is that his reputation, because I think that there's a hardcore element of Trump loyalists who are not Republicans. They are just Trump loyalists.
Yeah.
And they kind of don't count, right? I don't think they're numerically significant enough to carry an election anymore. I think you've got to have just the average. You got to have those fucking crazies, but then you also have to have the Republicans.
Every single Republican has to be on board.
And I think that this sort of stuff is just it's another nail in that coffin. It's more tarnish on the reputation. It's more stain on the legacy. It's more, God, this guy's fucking poisonous and toxic, and like we've still got 2 more years to continue to burn that reputation with the truth.
Yeah.
That's how you burn it, is you burn it with the actual truth. There is no reasonable argument to be made that this is a deep state operative action. Like all the important power players were Trump appointees.
Yeah.
In this action.
Yeah.
All of them.
If you believe in the deep state, if you think, I mean, you're
a fucking idiot.
Probably a dumb person, but if you believe in the deep state, you have to do so many mental jumps to make this work.
Right.
Where it's not even a deep state anymore. You're like, okay, but what kind of D chess is it to appoint the same guy who's going to serve your search warrant?
Right. Yeah.
Like, my God, how deep are we in here?
Also, isn't this a guy who's going to hire only the best people?
Yeah, I know.
They're so great. Right. You'll be tired of how great they'll be.
I mean, like, that's what he said. And now he hates them all and they're all, but it's funny because there's a quote from Stephanie Grisham that I was reading in one of the articles we were reading today for prepping for talking about Trump. And she basically says, like, you have to do whatever he wants, whenever he wants, and he can turn on you like that. And that's the real key, is that he's such a narcissist that he doesn't give a fuck about you. You better give him extreme loyalty. You have to do everything you can, and you have to prove you're loyal day in and day out. And if he will turn on you in a second, he has no loyalty to anyone.
Right. Yeah.
And so that's the real rub. And this is a volatile situation. It's scary. Like, because we're in a time now where, I mean, and the worst part is like, there could easily be a jettisoning of Trump by the Republicans, by the right in this country. They can do the right thing. They could easily just walk right in and they could say, you know what? Mitch McConnell walks in and be like, you know what? We don't want any presidents who are getting searched by the FBI. We stand with our FBI agents because they've been a wing of the Republican Party for years. And so we stand with them. And you know what? We're back the blue and whatever. I mean, like, you have like Marjorie Taylor Greene saying defund the FBI. She's selling shirts. Yeah. Defund the FBI shirts. So you have a situation now where they are so afraid of jettisoning him that they won't, but they can. There's so many opportunities, right, to do the right thing. And they will not take anyone up on these. There's only like 3 or 4 Republicans who are willing to take a stand. And then some of them are Cheneys, for Christ's sake.
Dude, what world are we living in where that's the case? Where it does seem like we are increasingly at a place where there is going to have to be a schism. And the Marjorie Taylor Greenes are fucked, right? Because I do think that the Trump world is imploding upon itself.
I hope it is, man. I hope you're right.
Sort of like maggots are all beginning to just like crumble. And I think all of that was a house of cards. None of that was ever stable. And you're just watching the whole thing implode, person after person and event after event. But the problem is you've got these fuckers that are in office that cannot extricate themselves from that world. And so they've got no choice but to keep doubling down and doubling down.
Right.
But I do think that the right-wing establishment at some point is going to say, all right, we got a problem. We got some cancer. It's got to be excised.
I hope so.
But like,
I hope so, man.
Because the MTGs I can't see how like the Hawleys and the Gates and the MTGs and the Boberts, God, I don't want to even live in a world where they can be successful.
God, I don't even.
I don't know how that would work.
I will say this though, when you say that they could be successful, I was thinking about this. if Trump would have played by regular rules most of the time,
oh man, we'd be fucked.
You'd be fucked.
We'd be fucked.
You'd be fucked right now. Yep. He'd be the next Reagan. Guaranteed he'd be the next Reagan. Because with his attitude and playing within the rules, even all the fucking boneheaded shit he did throughout his entire presidency, if he would have played a little bit within the rules, I think, wouldn't it be an issue?
I think he just played his hand one too far. One too far.
I just don't think he can ever play clean. And this proves it, right? Like him walking out with all this shit, I think he was dirty the whole time. You know, they're talking right now, the right-wing people are talking about, oh, well, when we take power, we're going to look into Hunter's laptop. And I'm thinking, you guys had 4 years to do that under Trump.
Yeah, why are you looking at it now?
Like, if you had anything, wouldn't have Zelensky said anything when he was trying to coerce him, which is what he got impeached for in the first place.
I know.
Like, if they had anything, they would have brought something forward. They didn't have anything then.
Yeah, but I go back to the metaphor of like, what if they searched your house? Like, I don't think there's anything there.
Yeah.
That's the thing, is that like all of this was smokescreen bullshit. If there was some smoking gun on Hunter's laptop, they'd have put it. They'd have found it. Somebody found it. Somebody would have like. There's nothing there. It's like, oh, well, you know, we're gonna look into the guys in the January 6th committee. Fucking look into them.
Yeah.
Then look into them. It's like, if you like, fine. Like, I think, you know, can you create smoke from nothing? Yeah, to some degree, of course you can, right? But it tends to go nowhere. Think about how hard they went after Hillary after Benghazi.
Yeah, no.
And they committee after committee investigation, and they never found anything significant.
I think the thing is though, that they started this back and forth, especially under Hillary, with this retaliation. It was retaliatory, right? Yeah. We're in power and we're going to make you answer to us. And then the moment the Democrats got in power, they were like, no, there's some serious shit that happened. Like, this is not, that's not normal. That's not a normal conversation. But they took it as, well, they're doing the same thing with Hillary. So the moment we come back, we're going to do the same thing to you. And you're like, no, but we're like, it's not retaliatory. They're not doing it because they fucking makes them feel better. They're doing it because there was some serious crimes and serious things happen. Like everybody, like the Mueller report even says, like, they're just too stupid to take advantage of it, but there was an attempt at collusion.
Yeah, absolutely. Like the Russians, it's so funny because people forget that about the Mueller report. Like, oh, there was nothing there. There was a lot there.
There was a lot there.
First of all, there was obstruction of justice.
Yeah.
Which was there. And then second of all, to your exact point, like the Russians absolutely meddled in that election.
And they wanted to do more. Right. These people were just too stupid to take advantage of it.
They're just too fucking dumb. They're playing fucking negative 1D chess.
Our side wanted to too. They were just too stupid to do it. So it's like,
how frustrating would it be to be Russian in that scenario?
Could you imagine? You're just like, what is it? Is it fucking Mo, Larry, and Curly over there?
I am trying here to destroy democracy. You're too stupid.
I just hold my hand up like this, and you do this, and it's nothing. It's nothing. No, but seriously, the retaliation back and forth. I think because it's such projection, because I don't look, I don't think you should be doing this stuff because you just are bored or because you just don't like the other side. I think that every time the Democrats have brought somebody up, there's been a serious something that's happened. It's not like they're oh man, there might be something on a laptop, so let's look into it.
Yeah, well, also like, I just want to be very clear, and all this is an insane thing to say, but just want to make sure it goes without saying. If 10,000 people storm the fucking Capitol to try to like keep Biden in office, should he lose, then we should look into that.
We should absolutely look into that.
Like, we should fucking burn everything down to look into that. Like, this isn't like a partisan thing. I think like if people smash fucking windows open with flagpoles and human meat pours in to the windows like a fucking waterfall of insanity, then we should probably look into that. Because who doesn't look into that?
Yeah.
What is the solution? Just be like, I don't know. An attack on the American Capitol, let it go.
They seriously wanted to just let it go. Yeah, they seriously wanted to let it go.
They would say shit like it's time to move on.
The Republicans said that it was like January 9th.
Right.
And they're like, no, we're done talking about it. We're done talking about
pretty
it.
much
we all
over.
Got together and said, this is really bad press for us, so let's just quit talking about it.
Yeah, I mean, that one guy's still running away.
Ixlay on the Ixlay. Let's do this.